ChatGPT Plus is free for college students through May. Here's the thing. You've got a lot to do between now and then. Studying for finals, writing papers, trying to keep your life on track, and ChatGPT can help with all of it. It can quiz you for your econ exam, make a study guide from your French notes, plan out your meals and study breaks. It can get really specific on how you like to learn. It can even help you come up with ways to stop procrastinating. So from now until summer break, take advantage of all the ways ChatGPT can make your life easier. Restrictions apply.
Saturday presents, in the red corner, the undisputed, undefeated Weed Whacker Guy. Champion of hurling grass and pollen everywhere. And in the blue corner, the challenger, extra strength Saturday. Eye drops that work all day to prevent the release of histamines that cause itchy allergy eyes. And the winner by knockout is Saturday. Saturday, bring it on.
The following is a presentation of the Belly Up Sports Media Network.
Yeah, I'm looking at those pictures now, and I'm like, yeah, we definitely got to change the the opening bumper.
We might have a surprise before next football season. We'll leave it at that. We'll leave it at that. But yes, we're a little bit late, but thanks for sticking with us, and welcome to No Credentials Required, where you don't need a press pass to talk sports. We are proudly presented by Belly Up Sports. My name is McCarthy. I'm one of the hosts. To my right is a man who demands that his equipment manager dry his gloves and drew it right effing now. Dustin Henry. Dustin, how are we doing tonight? That's right. My gloves are soaked. Thanks a lot, Harry. But I'm doing all right. I'm doing all right. I'm still mystified by the events of last night. I don't know how it happened. And we're going to get into it on the show, but I am thrilled as always to be here with you today. And special shout out to Windows updates, always occurring at the most inopportune times.
Oh my God.
And also, full disclosure, Ryan and I had a layout for the show. We had it all planned out. And then some things happened, which we're going to get into. We had to change everything.
Yeah, a crap ton of things happened. It's like, my God, like it's a never ending news cycle. I mean, oh my God. But we're going to get to it in just a moment. But before that, we just have some business to take care of. We just want to remind you to like us, follow us on social media. Give us a follow on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. Go to just search for No Credentials Required. And also check out the rest of our podcasts and written articles at bellyupsports.com. On the podcast side, you can subscribe to the podcast wherever you listen to podcasts, including Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Spreaker, Amazon Music, iHeart, TuneIn, and Pandora. And also, don't forget to hit that notification bell on both Twitter and on YouTube. That way you know when the live show goes up. That way you know when video clips go up. I've been getting better at that. I actually posted our segment about the Utah Mammoth on YouTube on Saturday, so you can check that out if you want to on the No Credentials Required site. And also, if there's any show announcements, like tonight, like I mentioned this afternoon, letting people know that we're on live tonight. So also, check out this will be replayed on the Belly Up YouTube channel tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. Eastern. Excuse me. So go to the Belly Up YouTube page, subscribe there, hit the notification bell there so you know when we go live, when our show is up and when other podcasts at Belly Up Sports are up as well. Mm-hmm. On the podcast side, rate, review, comment, leave us a 5-star rating. Review if you want. Review if you can, if you're on a platform where you can review. Also, if you're on Spotify, leave us a comment. Also, and again, also on the YouTube, Belly Up YouTube channel, leave us a comment there. We actually did have a comment on one of our past videos on the No Credentials Required YouTube. I'll read that in a moment. But we're also a live show at 6:30-ish on Tuesdays, although not tonight, notwithstanding, and on Saturdays at 10 a.m. Eastern. Although this Friday, we're going to have instead of a Saturday show this week. We're going to have a Friday show. We're going to have a happy hour Friday at 8 p.m. Eastern. Grab a libation, whether it be alcoholic or non-alcoholic. I'll be enjoying an alcoholic libation. Stop by. We'll talk about our beers, the beers that we're drinking. We'll also talk some sports. But we're a live show. And that means you can leave a comment. We got comments, lots of comments rolling in.
Yeah.
It's crazy. But leave us a comment. And Dustin, I know we're a little bit late, but
we're a little bit late. But the watch stopped on chime time.
It certainly did. You might say we're never late. We're always on chime.
Oh, man. I almost went with the Gandalf line. A wizard is never late. He arrives precisely when he means to. I feel like we do the same thing.
Yes, it's true. That's true. I'll read some of the comments that are coming in. D's Ray Sunshine saying, I'm ready for sports ball and Dustin's Edmonton Oilers. Julie from Michigan saying hello. The pink can of Sapna checking in with sports ball. Rich checking in sports ball mania. That's right. And everybody else is saying hi to each other in the chat. So thanks for joining us, folks. Again, we're live show. Usually I had a Windows update at the worst, as Dustin mentioned, I had a Windows update at the worst time. So it was not great. But also I was on the Levac and Gaz radio show today. Did my monthly appearance again on Mohawk Chevrolet, which is right down the road from me. So you could probably listen on their podcast. But tonight's show is going to be about Major League Baseball, as mentioned in the title, Major League Baseball history in real time, both good and bad. Dustin's going to react to his Mavericks winning the NBA draft lottery. I've got some comments about that too. We're also going to do some Stanley Cup playoff updates, and we're also going to talk. I have an emotional appeal to make to one former Connecticut Husky, Rebecca Lobo, about the Connecticut Sun. But first, Dustin, before the show even started, we had some breaking news.
Ooh, breaking news. Do we have the bumper?
Oh, yes, we do have the stinger.
All right.
Let's get to it.
I always love that. It's a good graphic, man.
Oh, it's a great graphic. Music's even better.
Oh, yeah.
But yes, breaking news is released this afternoon for Major League Baseball. Pete Rose, Shoeless Joe Jackson, and others who have been banned from baseball are now posthumously eligible for Baseball Hall of Fame reinstatement. This is crazy.
Yeah.
What time to be alive, Dustin?
Yeah, it's a day. First of all, let me say that I have it on good authority. My sources indicate to me from within MLB, the MLB offices, that Rob Manfred is a huge fan of the show, which makes it complicated, Ryan, when you're going to usurp his commissionership. But he obviously watched our review of the Charlie Hustle documentary.
It's true,
and how we said that it is not the Great Person Hall of Fame. It is the Baseball Hall of Fame. And I hear that we are the catalyst for this position and or for this change in position. And you know what? I do not know the power that we wield.
Neither do I, because as wizards, as you mentioned, Dustin, we're wizards. We're never late. We're always on time with these things. So it's just funny that we review Charlie Hustle about a month and a half, 2 months ago.
Yeah,
during the down period before baseball season beginning and kind of the end of the baseball and hockey season and football wrapping up. We reviewed that docuseries, that limited series on HBO on Max, and now Rob Manfred says, "Yeah, we're gonna waive that. We're gonna waive that eligibility thing. He's not necessarily banned from baseball, but he's eligible for reinstatement." Yeah. Now, who it's going to be, whether it be a Veterans Committee or those snobs, the Baseball Writers Association of America, who are acting like a bunch of Reddit nerds, always butthurt all the time. We don't know. It's going to be a special exception now for by Commissioner Manfred. And I've done my share of bashing of Commissioner Manfred on this show, from his decision to move the All-Star game in 2021 from Atlanta to Colorado. We'll talk about the Colorado Rockies in just a moment.
Oh
yeah,
man,
it's coming.
I shouldn't have laughed. I'm sorry.
It's coming.
I'm sorry, Rockies fans.
We've talked about his mishandling of the COVID season, the 2020 season, which they tried to start the baseball season relatively later, and he just kept messing it up, and amongst other things. But this decision, I feel he got this one right.
I think so too. But with the shadow of that documentary, it's tough because you see, and we talked about it during the review. So I won't, if you want to check out the reviews, go back into the archives. I won't bring up some of the finer points, but overall, it was tough to watch those scenes of an aging Pete Rose, knowing, hoping, and he had a lawyer working on his behalf, but every time the lawyer would seemingly make some progress and people advocating for Pete, Pete would kind of shoot himself in the foot. But again, none of Pete's personal shortcomings should affect the fact that he hit a lot of baseballs. And he was, he's one of the best to ever play the game.
Yeah, his gambling slips didn't hit those baseballs.
Yeah.
Talk about the steroids era. We talk about the steroids didn't hit those home runs. Mm-hmm. They didn't strike out all those batters.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. And we've talked about before how I think if you want to make the steroid era a separate wing, that's fine. But those guys deserve to go in if you want to do. But I'm getting off topic here. Basically, I wish this had happened while Pete Rose was still alive. Now, obviously, Shoeless Joe, he's been gone a long time. And but I'm happy that Shoeless Joe is also eligible for reinstatement because was the Black Sox scandal big? Yeah, obviously you don't want, but some of the things surrounding it, you don't know the exact circumstances. He may have been forced to do it, from things that I've heard. And again, his numbers stand out. It's the same thing. It is not the Character Hall of Fame. It is the Baseball Hall of Fame. This, in my opinion, is long overdue. Personal opinions of Pete Rose aside. And I think it takes, as you said, a measure of courage from Rob Manfred to kind of buck the trend of current or past commissioners. Yep. And take a look at this. Faye Vincent, famously, I believe Faye Vincent was the one that banned him.
No, it was Bart Giamatti.
That's right. It was Bart Giamatti.
And then a month later, he died.
Yes. So that's why because Faye Vincent was after him. But Faye Vincent famously said, I'm not going to overturn the ruling. I'm going to uphold what the commissioner's office said. And Bud Selig took that stance as well. They all kind of didn't want to step on each other's toes. And while I don't agree with a lot of Rob Manfred's decision making, I think he got this one right, like you said.
Yeah, and it's funny that we talk about these deceased members of that were once in the Hall of Fame that were banned are now eligible for reinstatement. You talked about Gandalf at the top of the show. If they were to get reinstated, it would be kind of like the dead man of Dunharrow, that when they fulfilled their vow to fight for the true king of Gondor. Mm-hmm. After they fulfilled their vow, they were released into the ether.
Yes,
it's gonna kind of be like that.
Yeah, their long purgatory was over. And thank you for continuing with the Lord of the Rings theme. I like it.
Yeah, that's the first thought that came to my mind is that you have been released from your service, and they're like, thank you.
That was a bang on impression.
Thank you. All right, let's get to some comments. Rich saying, oh wow, that's pretty cool news. Yeah, Pete Rose and Shoeless Joe Jackson being reinstated for eligibility. That's really cool. And D-Ray Sunshine saying Pete Rose in the Hall of Fame. Yes, absolutely. Greatest hitter of all time should be in the Hall of Fame. I've been saying this for years. I don't care what your stance is on his morality or what he did while he was manager of the Reds.
Mm-hmm.
He's still the greatest hitter of all time, period.
Yeah. The only one I think you could make a case for his crown is perhaps Ichiro, because Ichiro did a ton in two different leagues.
Two different leagues.
Yeah. But Ichiro's the only one, in my opinion, that comes close. Honorable mention to Tony Gwynn. Because Tony Gwynn is my guy. The soft spot I have for Tony Gwynn, I've talked about a million times. Tony Gwynn, for my money, he's got to be considered. But Pete Rose, you can't argue with his results at all. My goodness.
No, I mean Tony Gwynn and Ichiro are like on the same level as the greatest hitters of our era. Mm-hmm. I mean, you could argue Pete Rose, yes, the greatest hitter of all time, also the greatest hitter of the 60s, 70s, into the 80s. And I didn't see Pete Rose. I mean, I'm in my late 40s, so I saw Pete Rose play a little bit, but I'm too young to remember like every little hit that he had or when he had it. I do remember the day that he broke the record though, because that was our first year living in New York.
Okay,
that's why I remember it. So, but it's gonna take a while for somebody else to break that record. They're gonna have to play a very, very long time.
Oh yeah,
in order to do that. I mean, Pete Rose played in 3 different decades.
Yeah,
for goodness sake,
that's
how long
longevity.
it took him to break Ty Cobb's record. Yeah,
and also a monument to one, not missing many games, and also his health and consistency. It's got to be a little bit of luck involved in any record like that. To bring a football analogy into it, Brett Favre, whatever you think about some of what has happened off the field, you cannot argue. Brett Favre, he was an Iron Man at the quarterback position. He had the most consecutive game streak, I believe, or consecutive starts.
He has the most consecutive starts. Quickly, Dustin, going off topic here. Start, bench, cut. Steve Young, Brett Favre, Ben Roethlisberger.
I'm cutting I'm cutting Ben Roethlisberger. Sorry, Big Ben. I am man.
I know, right?
Man. It's Favre and Young that get me. You know what? I'm benching Brett because of the interceptions. Ooh, I'm benching Brett because of the interceptions, because he's going to take those chances with that rocket arm he has. I'm going Steve Young. I'm starting him.
Okay. I had the same one.
You had the same. I was about to ask you. Yeah,
I had Steve Young because I saw him play in 2 leagues, and he was that awesome. He was that good.
Yeah,
and because he played in the West Coast system, which is hard for a left-handed quarterback to do, but he transitioned so seamlessly.
Yes,
and Brett Favre is a good replacement. If he's out of the game, you need a quick touchdown or 2. That's Brett Favre. High risk, high reward. And Brett Roethlisberger was just basically a statue by the end of his career.
He was.
More comments. Rich saying, put Charlie Hustle in the Hall. Yes, absolutely. D's Rain Sunshine saying, Ryan and Dustin, all power wizards of sports ball.
Oh, man.
And Julie saying, I was personally living my best life when the Tigers were playing the Rockies. Listen, look, we can dunk on the Rockies all you want, but
man.
It might come back to bite you someday. I remember when the Tigers were absolute dog water. I'm pretty sure Julie does too.
Yeah. Julie lived it,
Rich saying, you think he's asking me if I thought Pete was a better hitter than Tony Gwynn. Like I said, I'm too young to remember. I can't detail all of Pete Rose's hits. I know because of the stats, he's just incredible. So I mean, he's the greatest hitter of that era of all time too, and also, but Tony Gwynn, like according to us, Tony Gwynn and Ichiro are the 2 best hitters of the era that we watched.
Yeah,
at least hitter, not like home run hitter, but just guys who could get on base.
And I think memory serves, because again, I didn't see Pete play all that much myself. But if you're talking average, Tony Gwynn gets the edge there. Yeah. So his career batting average is ridiculous. And we all know about the shortened season.
Yep.
He hit 394. I think he would have gotten to 400. I think it would have happened.
Yeah, absolutely. Kevin saying, however you feel about these players, their Hall of Fame eligibility should at least be discussed. Absolutely. Absolutely. And let's see here. What else? Oh, Favre also in the era before the NFL became a Nerf league. Yeah, true.
Fair point.
And then Steve Young starts. These Ray Sunshine. See, not only is our audience, they're just smart. It's a smart audience.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree.
I
agree.
All right, Dustin is going to revel very quickly. I think I see a victory cigar. I think he knew all along. I think he knew all along. Like, yeah, I knew what Nico Harrison was doing all along. This was his plan all along to get that number 1 draft pick. But in all seriousness, if you missed it, the Dallas Mavericks with a 1.6% chance of obtaining the number 1 pick in this year's NBA draft are now selecting number 1 in this June's NBA draft. So Dustin, got a few minutes.
Yeah.
Go ahead and wax poetic on this account. I don't want to say accomplishment, but this news.
This random happenstance.
Yes, thank you.
Wrinkle
in time.
When you texted me about this, because I had family things going on last night, so I did not see this happen in real time. I said, "Oh, shades of this Magic moment, the 30 for 30, because that happened for the Orlando Magic. They had the first overall pick twice in the second year. Second year, if memory serves, they were a playoff team, so they should not have ended up with that first number 1 overall pick. But I still remember the clip of Pat. His last name is escaping me. Pat Williams. He was saying that ping pong ball fought all those other ping pong balls and got to the top. And the Dallas Mavericks ping pong ball did that last night. I did not think we would have the number 1 overall pick, but my reaction is going to be somewhat muted, Ryan, because the problem is, for the moment, Nico Harrison is still our GM, and I am very confident in his ability to somehow fumble this bag. And it also brought up a lot of people saying that the NBA is conspiratorial because it there was a lot.
I am one of those people.
There was a lot of people, but I just feel like, if you're going to give the number 1 pick to anybody, if you're going to hand pick, kind of almost in the playoffs, because we made a play-in game. If you're going to hand pick somebody to have the first overall pick, it's not the Dallas Mavericks. I love my Mavericks, but it's not. You would go with a different market. You'd find a way for like the Knicks to get it, or the Lakers, or something like that. I'm trying to think of one of the other, but like Boston somehow would end up with it. Miami. Yeah. It wouldn't be the Mavs, but my reaction is muted because of my lack of faith in Nico Harrison. And that trade will go down in infamy. And it's no disrespect. I keep saying this, no disrespect to Anthony Davis. It's not his fault. He's going to show up and play. He's going to play hard. And there were people that argued in the short term, the move benefited the Mavericks, but it makes me think that Nico is going to do something crazy with that number 1 pick. And I have to give a shout out to our dear friend Kevin Wilson and my frequent cohort on Seahawks sessions. And we got to get together and figure out when we're doing another show. But he asked me a very, very interesting question. And he said, do you trade this number 1 overall pick for Giannis? Would you do this? And I considered it, and I said, you know what? I think as of now, I say yes. Giannis is a proven superstar in the NBA. Cooper Flagg looks amazing, but, he's an unknown. Do I think Cooper Flagg is the next Adam Morrison? No, but you never know. And so My reaction, I'm still shocked, but it's also muted because you had a building block. You had an attraction that made people want to come to Dallas, and you traded it away. So what are you going to do with this pick?
I got some thoughts. And there are a handful. Some of them are just humorous because I'm a wise ass. But some of them I'm like, so I am an NBA conspiracy theorist, all right?
Yeah,
I am the NBA. Like, we talk about how Major League Baseball has been dirty for a long time, even though it's been treated with purified gloves.
Yes. It's the gentleman's game, all the stuff. Yeah. Well, that's golf, but you know what I mean.
All of baseball is like ivory soap, 99.44% pure when it's absolutely 99.4% impure.
The only thing dirtier is college football. There, I said it.
Shots fired. We talk about Major League Baseball being dirty as heck.
Yeah.
The NBA has more conspiracy theories than all 11 seasons and the movie of the X-Files, in my opinion. It's just we talk about the NBA. You mentioned it, the 1985 NBA draft lottery with the New York Knicks and the frozen envelope theory.
Yes.
The frozen envelope with the slight fold, and I think it was the Cleveland Cavaliers who lost, who was number 2 in that draft order, if I'm not mistaken. I'll double check my stats, but we talk about that. You talk about the 2002 Western Conference Final between the Lakers and the Kings.
Yeah,
where the Kings were winning that series. They could have won that series in 6, but some shady referee calls prevented that from happening.
Yes.
Goes to a game 7. We know what history happened.
Yeah, Big Shot Bob happened.
Yeah. You can also kind of figure the 2003 NBA lottery. All right. LeBron James, Jokic, Cleveland Cavaliers just happened to win the number 1 overall pick, and this phenomenal kid in high school who's blowing up all of the national stage just happens to say, "Oh, I want to declare for the NBA draft." Oh, look at that. Cleveland Cavaliers, they win the NBA draft pick. Oh, and also, don't forget when LeBron went to Miami, Cleveland tanked that season. They got Kyrie. They got Kyrie Irving.
Mm-hmm.
And now you get the Mavericks trading away Luka Doncic for, like you said, inexplicable reasons. I'm still befuddled by.
Yeah.
And now they're awarded the number 1 pick in the draft. I see slight. I'm putting my tinfoil hat on. The tinfoil hat's going on, folks. On this dome, there's definitely something shady going on here. But like you said, you have muted enthusiasm because of who your general manager is.
Yeah,
who was selected by the current ownership, who was not Mark
Cuban. Yeah.
And I jokingly said to you in text, I said, yeah, they need to pick Cooper Flag because they need a star to build around when the Mavericks moved to Dallas. Mavericks moved to Las Vegas in 5 years. I said that jokingly, but you never know. You really never know.
Yeah, you never know. And there's enough smoke to that fire that, and it's some shady shenanigans as you pointed out. And I would like to, as a somewhat bitter Mavs fan, I would like to point out, you mentioned the officiating in the 2002 Western Conference Finals. I would like to give a honorable mention to the officiating in the 2006 NBA Finals when the Dallas Mavericks were winning that series and they were blowing the Miami Heat off the floor. Now, the Mavs blew a couple of games, but then the Miami Bennett Salvatores, the Miami Heat, they were able to pull that series out. Shout out to Bill Simmons for the Miami Bennett Salvatore's nickname. But I remember that officiating. Oh, Dwayne Wade got he got every foul possible driving to the hoop. And I remember just being like, how is this possible? How?
And I also mentioned, I actually posted this on Twitter first in my personal account. It's at whoisRyanMCC, by the way, if you want to give a follow there. I'm pretty clever. But I also sent a text to Dustin. I said, Yeah, watch what happens that the ghost of Red Auerbach will enter Brad Stevens' body, and he'll try to sucker Nico Harrison to trading him that pick now that Jason Tatum's out until 2027.
Yeah.
Because they need a replacement for him. Watch him try to sucker Nico Harrison to trading for the number 1 pick. Just like it used to do back in the day. If you watch that Celtics Lakers miniseries, that's what Red Auerbach used to do.
Oh yeah, and that green smoke. And perhaps that I love that quote from Bill Walton. He said Red Auerbach's smoke was green, but
Auerbach's smoke was green.
Yeah. That's a pretty good Walton. I'll give you that one. But it's not as good as your Tony
Rest in
Atlas.
peace, Bill Walton.
Yeah, R.I.P. Bill Walton, an absolute legend. But go back through the archives and watch our review of the Mr. McMahon series so that you can hear Ryan's Tony Atlas. That's his MVP. So, but I will say, you can't. I have a real feeling that Nico could get suckered. That's the thing. That text.
He'll pull a Leroy Jenkins somehow and say, "I'm gonna trade this pick."
Yeah.
Or I'm gonna pick this other guy.
Yeah.
And the entire basketball world will be like, "What did you do?"
Oh man.
We got some comments in here. D's Ray Sunshine saying Nico will mess it up. The aforementioned Kevin Wilson saying if he fumbles this, he will need to move to a non-extradition country immediately. I suggest North Korea.
Oh man.
Learn some redneck Korean, Nico. And D's Ray Sunshine saying I'll help him pack. Rich saying at least they have contracts. It's the wild west in college football. Yeah, that's for sure.
Yeah.
And apparently, President Trump has called on Nick Saban to try to reel everything in, which I think is a wise decision. Because it's hard. I loved college football once upon a time. After 2020, it kind of soured on me. Because then NIL started and the transfer window got left wide open for people to run in and out of. And now I'm just like, what? And then the conference blow up. There's no more Pac-12. There's a Pac-2, but I guess they're getting other schools to jump in now. And I'm like, this is too much for me to follow, but we need somebody to rein it in.
Yeah.
Nick Saban's that guy.
He could do it.
Can't wait. And Kevin's saying, don't speak ill of my baseball, Ryan. Too late. I did. And I enjoyed it. I'm going to have a cigarette after that.
No, baseball is sanctimonious. That's the thing. They point their finger at the other sports and go, look at all this bad stuff that's happening. And then you point the reflective lens on baseball and they go, oh, no. That forget about that. You didn't see anything.
You didn't. Nothing to see here. Yeah. Officer Bar Brady on South Park. D saying we live in the dirty South, so our college football just reflects who we are.
Fair play.
And she also says I do flawless impressions. Oh, thank you.
It's pretty good. Walton was pretty good.
Jabbar.
I gotta rewatch that.
Walking up the John Muir Trail, Jabbar. I gotta rewatch that. Cycling from Southern California to Oregon, Jabbar.
My favorite Walton line, I don't even know if he actually said it, but it comes from a video game. When you were doing really bad, and I think it was NBA 98, he was one of the announcers, and he said, this is the kind of game where you get an early ejection and just go back to the hotel. I love that.
I can hear them say that right now.
I loved it.
We're going to transition over to Major League Baseball again. So for those of you who love baseball, this is your podcast episode. We're going to talk about Major League Baseball in real time, both good and bad. Let's take a trip back in time, the Wayback Machine, to the year 2023. The Oakland A's were absolute dog's breakfast. winning 50. They actually won 60 games in 2022 and somehow managed to lose 10 more games in 2023 to wind up with 50. You think to yourself, can't get any worse than that if you're Major League Baseball team. The 2024 Chicago White Sox, however, said, "Hold my beer, hold my Budweiser," and they win 41 games last year. You think to yourself, no Major League Baseball team can do worse than that. The 2025 Colorado Rockies so far have said, "Hold my Coors Light."
Yeah.
As of this recording, the Colorado Rockies are 7-34.
Man.
With a run differential of 129. They are 5-16 at home and 2-18 on the road. Which means if the Colorado Rockies are coming to your town, 2 out of 10 times, once out of every 10 times, because they've played 20 road games, they've won 2. So it's once every 10 games. So 9 games, you're going to get a win. And I actually looked up this on social media. There was a stat, and I'm trying to look for it right now, about the Colorado Rockies, how bad they've been over their first 40 games, and it's miles beyond what the White Sox did last year. So I'd ask you, Dustin, because I've been thinking about this over the last couple of days when I propose we got to talk about these teams. When I proposed on Sunday, we got to talk about these teams. This is awful.
Yeah.
Why do you think these teams are so bad? Is it just bad scouting, bad signings? Is ownership just not caring? I mean, why are we starting to see these historically bad records happening in baseball? Because right now, the Rockies, I think they're on track to win less than 40 games.
Yeah, I mean, if the current trend continues, they could easily get there. And to answer your question, I think the clearest example where I can find a reason is the Oakland A's, because clearly the owner didn't care. John Fisher didn't care.
No, he didn't.
And that's why. But even in that, and I'm going back, and I could be misremembering a couple of years, but even in that 2023, was it? Yeah, 2023 A's year, they had Sean Murphy. They had a catcher that people wanted, that people inquired about at the trade deadline, and that eventually he got a contract from, I believe, Atlanta. Atlanta wanted Sean Murphy. Sean Murphy had talent, and they still had they had Mason Miller, if memory serves.
They still have Mason Miller.
Yeah, he's a great closer. And I think at that time, it was his rookie year, and they were trying to see whether he was a starter or closer or what was going on. So there were glimpses in the A's organization, even though the owner did not care. And I'll say he still doesn't care. And but there was competency in the scouting department, in the GM, that the A's had glimpses of talent, even in that horrible year. The White Sox, their shuffle, I don't know where the problem is, because they've shuffled a few things around and it's still been bad. But I still feel like with some of the White Sox draft picks and stuff, and I don't know enough about baseball. I mean, I would defer to our own boy of summer, Kevin. He's going to be joining us most Saturdays to help up our baseball quotient on the show. But and others who know a lot more. I would love to hear Brent's thoughts about this.
Yep.
But the pattern, the one that stands out to me most is the Rockies, where I think, because they weren't that far removed from being a decent team, but I think they have just, their GM's been bad. Their GM has been bad. They made a trade this offseason. They acquired somebody from Cleveland who was a well-regarded player last year. They acquired him from Cleveland. Guess what they did right before the start of the season? They traded him back to Cleveland for next to nothing. It's like, what are you even doing? What is the plan? What is the agenda? I knew the Rockies were going to be bad heading into baseball experts who know a lot more than me. They're saying the Rockies, the roster that the Rockies have put together, they're not going to win a lot of games. But the thing is, even with the White Sox, you could see a semblance of a pattern. I think the White Sox weren't projected to be great this year or last, but I think if you ran the projected numbers, talent-wise, they underachieved. And I don't really know why they did. Some of the pitching signings they did last year to try to, you just wonder. But the Rockies, it's just terrible. I cannot find the direction. So to me, I put the Rockies woes squarely on the GM, because they let Bud Black go. He was their manager for 9 years, but I don't think a manager could have succeeded with this roster. Who knows? Maybe the players had tuned Bud Black out, and we'll have to see how their bench coach does now, because I believe he is the interim manager of the team. But yeah, this is crazy.
Yeah, it's the last time they were in the playoffs was 2018. So they're not too far removed. We're not too far removed from the Colorado Rockies being in the Major League Baseball playoffs. But yeah, this is for me, it's a combination of a couple of things. It's a combination of ownership not caring. Clearly, we saw that in Oakland when John Fisher decided, I'm not going to be here in Oakland anymore. You're not going to give me a stadium? Okay. We're just going to be vagrants for a bit, and then we're going to move to Las Vegas in 2027. Which is why on my minute and my platform for Commissioner of Major League Baseball, if you want a new stadium, you have to pay up half. You shouldn't be forcing cities to pay for the entirety of your new stadium. And I get it. It's a point of civic pride. But you shouldn't be blackmailing ownership into paying for your stadium when you can clearly, if your team's worth is a lot, you can clearly pony up at least half that money. All right.
Yeah.
And why are these stadium costs so huge too? I mean, come on, it's ridiculous.
Yeah. So
it's one part is ownership. Again, John Fisher, not Jerry Reinsdorf. I think he cares more about the Bulls these days and the White Sox.
Yeah.
And then you've got, I don't know who the owners in Colorado. I don't know who the owners in Colorado are.
Monfort, I believe. His first name is escaping me.
Richard and Charles Monfort.
Yeah. Okay.
And they, let's see. What do they do? I guess they were a meat packing company. They owned a meat packing company before selling it to ConAgra back in the day, and that's how they acquired their fortune. So,
okay.
But yeah, I mean, the Montfort brothers, you guys got to do something. Like sell it to like John Elway or something. Like have somebody who actually cares about the team.
Yeah.
Or God forbid the who owns the Colorado Avalanche?
Is it Kroenke? Yeah, Stan Kroenke. Yeah.
As much of a D-bag he is for moving the Rams from St. Louis back to Los Angeles.
Yeah.
He'd be a better owner than the Montforts. He'd be a better owner than probably half these owners in Major League Baseball.
Yeah, I mean, you can't argue with it, and but the thing is, I don't know how much is on the Montforts because I don't know how long they've owned the team, and the Rockies have had some moments of success. They have, and I mean, they went. I wish they had won that World Series selfishly, but they went all the way to the World Series in 2004. They were a team that was out of it. They got hot.
2007.
It was 2007. That's right.
Yeah, 04 was the Cardinals. I want to forget about 04. I drink to forget that.
Yeah, I drink to forget 04, and I think it's partially working because I conflated the two.
Yeah, you did.
But yeah, they that Rockies team got wildly hot and surged all the way to the World Series, and we know how it worked out. And for us Yankee fans, that was a tough pill to swallow. I'm still bitter they got swept, and also Todd Helton He's my guy. We talked about Todd Helton before,
Mm-hmm.
so that was particularly tough. But yeah, they've had some success, and I don't know how long the Montforts have owned the team, and I don't know how long the current GM of the Rockies has been the GM. But these moves are terrible. I do not put this on Bud Black because I don't think he could do much with this roster.
And think about this too. They traded Nolan Arenado to St. Louis.
Yes.
And as Daniel Smooth has joined us, say his name and he appears, he's joined us in comments. Said Rockies' best moments were with Nolan Arenado. True.
Yeah.
Arguably the best player in franchise history, pissed him off enough to go to St. Louis. Yeah, they traded him there. And what's been their return?
Yeah.
Bubkiss.
Nothing.
And the people I feel sorry for the most, I feel sorry for two groups of players or two groups of people. Mm-hmm. I feel sorry for the fans who pay good money to see these Colorado Rockies. And the thing is, they stick around.
Yes. And I've heard the ballpark is very nice. I've heard the ballpark is very nice.
Coors Field is one of those fields I want to go see a game at.
Yeah.
The other group of people I feel sorry for the most are the players, because they're the one. Yes, they're paid to perform. They're paid to do their to play on a field on this team. But that's the product they're putting out there. But they're getting roasted, and they have to endure all this. They had to endure all this throughout the entire season. They had to sit through these 162 games. And they're currently 7-34, 17.1 winning percentage. It's ridiculous.
No, it is. It's terrible. And the thing is, like, you don't want to keep. But again, the other example, and I know this is probably a smaller example, but John Gray was a player who pitched for the Rockies, and I believe he was drafted by their organization, but I don't know. But he pitched well enough in Coors Field, which if you're a major league pitcher, you know how hard it is to pitch in Coors Field.
Yep.
And he did well enough for the Rockies. They got rid of him, traded him to the Rangers, for, and he goes to Texas and he succeeds, before getting injured, so it's just, you got to wonder what are they doing? Yeah. What are they trying to do?
We got a lot of comments in the comment section. We'll get to them. We'll take a quick break. Then we'll get to the good side of Major League Baseball history in real time. Drew Willingham. He shows up in the comments. He says, "Good evening, fellas. Tuning in for a good few on a lunch break. Thanks for joining us, buddy. We appreciate you. And coming back soon. We're still coordinating what we're going to record. But Total Football Talk Extra.
Oh yeah,
going back for the CFL season, because the CFL season starts in a couple of weeks. So I'm really excited for that. He's a little bit behind on the. I think he's running a little bit behind watching. He asked about the NBA rigging the draft lottery.
Yep. He's on it. He's on it. We did discuss that a little bit, Drew, but you'll catch that at the beginning.
Daniel Smooth saying small market baseball has been pummeled by teams like the Yankees, Dodgers, Mets, Red Sox. Hold on. I'm going to defend my Yankees and say at least they've been willing to spend. We talk about small market teams when they're in most major cities in America. And he also brings up the Marlins. Saying look at the Marlins and the Giancarlo Stanton trade. Perfect example. Small market teams have been screwed over and over and over. Miami's not a small market.
Yeah,
Miami's not a small market team, not a small market team per se, but they've had horrible ownership ever since they came into existence. From the Huizengas to the Lorias, and what was Derek Jeter. He's now out of the picture as owner and CEO. I think maybe he might be still owner. The thing is, it's not so much the teams or the market. It's the owner's willingness to cough up the money.
Yeah.
This is what I talk about with ownership in the NFL and Major League Baseball. They're not owners. They don't seem to care that they own a team. What they care about is the fact that they own a team to tell their rich buddies that they own a major professional franchise.
Yeah. And my perfect example of this is the Angelos. The Orioles could have competed a lot of those years, and sometimes did compete in spite of the Angelos, But the only person I can remember the Orioles paying for during their tenure was Miguel Tejada. They got him out of Oakland, but other than that, they never put a roster around anyone. Mike Mussina, they didn't hang on to him. It just, the Angelos, they did not care. They did not care. They were in an environment where they could they have competed to the degree that the Red Sox and Yankees were at that time? Who knows? But it's not like the Orioles were devoid of money.
No. Drew Willingham saying, D. Willie saying, keep crushing it, fellas. I'll listen to the replay during the long bleep ride home tonight. Yeah. Thanks, Drew. Thanks for stopping by. And St. Smooth saying, Seattle's not a small market either. The Mariners have talent. It's just that John Stanton refuses to suspend. This is the problem with the NFL, with the other major leagues, NFL, NHL, NBA, they at least have restrictions on spending. While Major League Baseball, it's wild, wild west. There's no cap.
Yeah.
And you can spend as much money as you want. It's the ownership that's willing to invest in the players, as I just mentioned.
Yep.
And when you've got teams like the Yankees, the Red Sox, the Mets, the Dodgers, they're willing. The Phillies actually have number 2. They're actually number 2 in payroll. Those owners are willing to spend the money to bring the players who are going to give them the best chance to win. Otherwise, you have to develop players who are going to be too good, and when they're bad, when they're on bad teams for so long, they'll want out.
Yeah,
and
they'll want to go.
They'll want to go and get paid in those markets. So it's the ownership's willing to suspend. And again, when I come to power as Major League Baseball commissioner, there's going to be a salary. There's not going to be a salary cap. There's going to be a salary floor. You have to spend X amount of dollars on your salary, on your payroll. Otherwise, you're going to get an unluxury tax. I don't know what the opposite of luxury, poverty tax. You're going to get a poverty tax. There you go. We have the luxury tax. Now you're going to suffer a poverty tax if you don't spend this amount, because that's what the NHL has. They have a salary cap, but they also have a salary floor. Teams are required to spend X amount of money on their player salaries. So
that's interesting.
That's
a good concept. And Dr. Lady might have something to say about you assuming power from Rob Manfred. We still have to resolve that.
Well, she just recently got married, so I don't know what her schedule is like for that debate. So
probably pretty busy.
Probably pretty busy. All right, we're gonna take a quick commercial break. When we come back, we're gonna do the flip side and talk about the good part of Major League Baseball in real time. And then we'll talk some other odds and ends and talk about in the world of sports. And we'll also talk about our favorite athletes to wear the number 34. So stick around, stay tuned, stand by for more No Credentials Required. Hey everyone, it's Ryan from No Credentials Required to talk to you about one of our newest partners at Belly Up Sports, SeatGeek. Yeah, live sports is great on television, but the feeling of being at the arena is a priceless experience. That's why our friends at SeatGeek are there to help you find the best tickets at the best prices. Not only can you get tickets to sporting events, but you can also get tickets to concerts, comedy shows, musicals, and more. Search for your desired event now at SeatGeek.com, enter promo code BellyUpSports at checkout, and you save $20 off your first purchase. SeatGeek. Life's an event. We have the tickets. All right, SeatGeek. We got a lot of sporting events happening right now. We've got Major League Baseball, as we've been talking about the last 20 minutes or so, in full effect. Stanley Cup playoffs in full effect for those teams that are still remaining. And I guess the NBA playoffs as well. But coming soon, NFL starting soon. So preseason and regular season. Schedule releases tomorrow. We're seeing little trickles here and there of where they're going to play for the international games. We know which opponents are playing each other on Thursday night for the first Thursday night game of the year for the opening kickoff. Where are you going to go for those tickets? You're going to go to SeatGeek, which is one of our premier affiliate sponsors here at Belly Up Sports and No Credentials Required. Here's what you do. Look for those tickets. You look on their pricing tool, which gives you the best ticket at the best prices. Going to select your tickets, go to checkout. In the promo code section, you're going to put Belly Up Sports. you're going to save $20 off your order of $50 or more. But it's not, again, as that handsome voice gentleman said in that commercial, in that voiceover, it's not just sporting tickets. It's also Broadway. It's also shows, plays, comedy shows. Anything that requires a box office ticket, you can find it at SeatGeek.com. And again, use that promo code at the checkout. Dustin and a couple of your friends have used that promo code for local events.
Yes, and local cred head Mr. Scott Mastriani. Special shout out to you, Scott. He used it recently when we went to a hockey game. A friend, our friend, and also his family. We all went out to a game together. It was a great time, the Adirondack Thunder game, but we got a great deal on SeatGeek thanks to the promo code.
That's right. Again, SeatGeek.com. Use their pricing tool, get the best tickets for the best prices, and save some coin. Save yourself some money for that souvenir or half a sandwich you're going to get in the concessions. $20 off your order of $50 or more. All right, we did have one comment in the comment section come in during commercial break from Kevin. He's saying completely down with the salary floor. Listen, got to spend money to make money, man. Got to spend money to win those titles. So scared money don't make money.
And the Royals have, I would say the Royals are an example of quote unquote strategic spending. You know, they spend sometimes. They don't spend a ton, but they spend when they need to. And they've had some success through development and some other good avenues, but they'll spend to sign some people when they feel it works. And I believe isn't it Benintendi who's doing very well down there, or is it somebody else? I'm trying to remember.
Andrew Benintendi? Maybe.
Yeah.
I think you're thinking of Bibby Watt. I'm sorry, Bobby Witt Jr.
Oh, Bobby Witt Jr. Yeah. I mean, Bobby Witt Jr. is the man.
Yeah, he's very good.
But I know Andrew Benintendi was there at one point, I believe, but I don't know how well it went. But there's somebody that signed there and is doing quite well. So
yeah, they got a nice core roster. We talked about them on Saturday's show. Being one of those teams that has just been like they could possibly win a pennant this year. They're that good. They're that good. All right, we're gonna talk some more Major League Baseball history in real time. Talk about the good side of a Major League Baseball history. Let's talk about Aaron Judge for a second.
Oh man,
you think to yourself, but guys, you're Yankees fans. Of course, we're Yankees fans. And
yes.
Let's talk some New York Yankees. Hang on one second. Where is?
Yeah, because we talked a lot of baseball last show, and we didn't talk about the Yankees at all. So
yeah, we didn't talk about this
New
team.
York Yankees.
The New York Yankees.
Ruth, Gehrig, DiMaggio, Mantle, Costanza.
That's right.
that clip always gets me.
I love that clip.
That clip.
But Aaron Judge is having so far, and this is May 13th of 2000, the year of our Lord 2025, as we're recording this, is having so far, I mean, one of the best seasons in Major League Baseball history individually.
Yeah.
Last year, we talked about him last year, getting off to a really slow start. He was just above the Mendoza line at the end of April. And I think he only hit like 6 or 7, maybe 8 home runs. The rest of the season, he was hitting like 400.
Yeah.
and many, many, many more home runs. But as of today, as of this recording, and they're playing tonight at 10 p.m., they're in Seattle. They're on their West Coast swing right now. These are his current statistics. 41 games. So he's playing just about every single game as right fielder or DH. 157 at-bats. He has 65 hits, 12 doubles, 2 triples, 14 home runs, and 40 RBIs.
Man.
Batting average of .414. That's a historical number. But what you don't see is the underlying greatness that is he right now. And as Major League Baseball had a stat that I think I posted in our Discord.
Yes, you did.
I posted in our Discord. So far this season, Aaron Judge, he has 6 games with no hits in 2025. He has 7 games with 3 or more hits in 2025 so far this year.
That's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. I was watching a game at a local establishment that had opened up near me. P.S. Ryan, we have to go. You have to try this place. The best chicken tenders I've had in recent memory. But I was watching the game with my buddy Dave, our buddy Dave. We're sitting there, and I said to him, I said, because Judge had just hit a solo home run. And I said, it's going to get to the point where people are not going to pitch to this man. The run that you have to wonder if we're already there, if they're already going to start intentionally walking him. I think the only reason they might have pitched to him is because the bases were empty. It was a solo shot, and the A's, I believe, were up in the game at that point. It was one of the games the A's won. I believe they won it 7-5 or something of that.
11-7.
11-7. That's what it was.
Yeah, that was the one loss in that series.
Yeah, that was the blemish. I think when I was listening, it was 7-5, which is why it stuck in my mind. But I think the only reason they pitched to him is because the bases were empty. And I really think it's going to get to a point where they're going to intentionally walk him. He's hitting for power and average right now. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, it is super ridiculous. And we have people standing for Shohei Ohtani and what he does. Yes, Shohei Ohtani, going to give him his flowers all day.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
But in terms of in the stratosphere of players who are elite right now, it's Aaron Judge here, and then Shohei Ohtani like right here, Bobby Witt, and a couple other guys. So that's how big of a difference right now Aaron Judge is compared to like the next 4 elite players in Major League Baseball, statistically speaking.
Going off the hard numbers. I like it. The only reason I think Ohtani gets the edge is when he's pitching, a two-way player that is doing this. But for all intents and purposes right now, he is, and I say this with all due respect, he is just a hitter. He is just a hitter right now. I think, we got to see how much he can stick with the pitching. The Dodgers rotation, I'm not as up on it. I know there's been Landon Knack is going to pitch for the Dodgers. I think tonight they're employing a 6-man rotation. That might be in an effort to spell Ohtani. And I know that Glasnow's hurt. But, yeah, I think Aaron Judge gets, and I say this as a Yankee fan, I think he gets a lot of hate because he is a Yankee.
Yeah.
And because he did not go to San Francisco, people thought that he was going to leave and go to the Giants and come home. And I think some people were wishing that he did, but I have to wonder if Aaron Judge was in another uniform, do you think he would get less criticism and less, and he'd be more recognized for how great a hitter he is at right now?
Could you imagine him as a Colorado Rocky? What kind of stats he would have?
Oh, he'd be, oh my
God.
His home run, as it is, okay, you got to give it the short porch in Yankee Stadium, the new Yankee Stadium. Yes, I'll still call it the new Yankee Stadium. You can hit a lot of home runs in there. There are players that have signed with the Yankees and have thrived because of the short right porch. But, oh, my gosh, in Coors Field, that's another level. The ball flies. They have to use a humidor to stop the ball from flying out of Coors Field, okay? He would put up otherworldly numbers there.
Staniel asked a good question. Who is the all-time leader in batting average for a single season? So it's debatable. I looked it up on Baseball Reference while you were waxing poetic there, Dustin.
That's what I'm here for.
Yeah. So this is counting Negro Leagues, because Negro Leagues has now been incorporated with Major League Baseball for all-time stats. If we're counting Negro League, Tetelo Vargas hit 471 in 1943 for the New York Cubans. But if we're not counting Negro League, Hugh Duffy in 1894 hit 440. And that was for the Boston Red Sox? The Boston Statistics.
That's the name?
That was the name of the team, the Boston Statistics.
Oh, man. I mean, come on. 1894, the Civil War was like 30 years before. we got to come up with like a cutoff for the modern era of baseball. I get it, but like 1894, that feels completely different. But shouts out to the Negro League being included. It should be. It is a part of baseball history. I don't like the name. I'll never like the name, but shout out for that being factored into baseball history because it's a massive part of it.
Well, the Boston Statistics later became the Boston Red Sox, and they were in the National League at the time.
Okay.
So
National League. That's weird.
Hugh Duffy hit 440.
Wow.
In 539 at bats.
And I do
237 hits.
I might have to look it up and see if I can get a New York Cubans hat as well, because that name is pretty sweet. I would put like a fat cigar on it.
Do you know what Hugh Duffy's career batting average was, Dustin?
I have no idea.
326.
Wow.
And he is in the Hall of Fame. Good for him.
He should be.
If Hugh Duffy's in the Hall of Fame, Pete Rose should be in the Hall of Fame.
Yes.
All right, we're going to quickly move over to the Stanley Cup playoffs. Dustin, your Oilers are up 3-1. 3 games to 1. Now, this was after a shaky situation in Game 3, because we saw what happened in the first 2 games with the Edmonton Oilers. Calvin Pickard did a phenomenal job filling in for Stuart Skinner when he was crapping the bed.
Yeah.
However, we found out Calvin Pickard has an injury. Stuart Skinner came in Game 3, played pretty well up until the last 0.4 seconds of the game. But in Game 4, he rebounded and got the shutout against the Vegas Golden Knights. And your team is your Edmonton Oilers are now one game away from repeating and going to the Western Conference Final to play the winner of the Dallas Winnipeg series. Dallas is currently up 2 games to 1 after an absolute beating. And now Connor Hellebuck is as useless on the road as John Cena in camouflage.
Incredible. And I hope they can do it. But as you pointed out, Pickard is going to miss the entire rest of this round, however long it goes. Thanks. I hope that it doesn't go long. I hope the Oilers can close this out, because I do not have faith in Skinner's ability. He has these games where he looks great, and then he has these complete meltdowns. And I remember Brent saying the same thing because Skinner was once the goalie of his Toronto Maple Leafs. And it's been shaky, and 2 years in a row now. You called it. You assuaged my fears. You said that Calvin Pickard, the last time he came in, he stabilized things. He won all 6 starts in the playoffs that he's done. He's been good, and I'm just a little worried. I want them to put Vegas to bed, while they have the chance.
Yep.
Because Vegas,
I'm pretty sure most fans would like that too.
Yeah, I mean, Vegas, you can say what you want about them, but they especially for an expansion team, they've really been on a run. Talk about people that care about winning, and they clearly have talented people in place. Their GM all the way on down, assistant GM, everybody, they're a well-oiled machine out there. They have been rolling the last few years, and I just don't want to wake up.
Well played with the pun.
Yeah, I do not want to. I didn't even realize I did it, but now I get it, and I'm laughing. But they I don't want to wake a sleeping giant. And after last year's, the recent playoff woes of the McDavid era Oilers, I'm just afraid, because their Achilles heel it's never been offense during the McDavid era. The McDavid and Draisaitl are a potent combination, but defensively, the Oilers have never been great in the McDavid era. And goaltending, the Oilers rarely have invested in goaltending during this time. It's always been kind of their weakness and their Achilles heel. But this year seems to be different. Connor has played the role of a facilitator, but those wet gloves and Connor he hasn't been scoring at a clip, but other people have been picking up the slack. Mm-hmm. And I extolled the virtues of Corey Perry on a previous show. He's been doing the little things that make you win hockey games. But
Adam Henrique had 2 goals, former New Jersey Devil.
Yes.
Adam Henrique had 2 goals last night.
And I'm still bitter because there's a part of me, Taylor Hall got a raw deal in Edmonton. No disrespect to Adam Henrique, but that's, it was nice to see. And they offered Darnell Nurse that huge contract. He gets a lot of hate. But I'm just afraid. I am afraid. I am not going to count my chickens in this series, but I have been pleasantly surprised.
Let me offer you some comfort in regards to Stuart Skinner. So last year, Skinner was pulled in game 3 of their series in Vancouver. Got benched for game 4. Calvin Pickard filled in, won game 4. They went back to Stuart Skinner, and they rode him all the way to game 7 in the Stanley Cup final, where they almost completed the 3-0 comeback. Coming back from 3-0 down. So, look, I'm going to offer you some comfort in that regard with Stuart Skinner. Maybe he just needed some time to rest his brain, not overthink things, and just stop pucks. And it was demonstrated last night in game 4, where he shut out the biggest Golden Knights, who are one of the best offensive teams, in my opinion, in the National Hockey League. That's why they're still in the playoffs.
Yeah.
All right. So you got the Eastern Conference. Carolina is boring the heck out of the Washington Capitals, so to a 3-1 lead. Florida and Toronto tie up at 2 after last night's kerfuffle. Last night's shutout win for the Florida Panthers. It's getting really ugly there too.
Yeah.
Which makes playoff hockey so much fun. And again, as I mentioned, Winnipeg down 2-1. The President's Cup trophy winner, Winnipeg Jets, down 2-1 to Dallas. They're playing tonight. I think they're starting in a couple minutes, actually.
Yeah, I think puck drop was earlier. And no disrespect to the Dallas Stars, but I'm rooting for the Winnipeg Jets in that series as well, because should the Oilers get lucky enough and advance, I would love to see an all-Canadian Western Conference final. That would be something fun.
Yeah, and whoever wins that series goes on to the Stanley Cup final, where they're Canada's biggest hope. Unless Toronto goes to the Stanley Cup final too, then it's the Civil War. All right, we're going to move on quickly. We'll get to our favorite athletes, to our number 34 in just a moment. But I found this on social media yesterday. Underdog WNBA, I'll credit them with breaking this news because that's where I found it first. They stated that the Connecticut Sun of the WNBA has hired an investment bank to explore the sale of the team. And the expectation is a sale and likely franchise relocation. And they quoted 2 sources. I'm just trying to find out who they are. Just a second. They include Kurt Badenhausen of Forbes magazine. of Sportico, and Eben Novy-Williams, also of Sportico. So they credited them with the story. So I'm going to make an emotional appeal to Rebecca Lobo. I'm going to take the stage real quick here, Dustin, if you don't mind.
Give yourself the one.
Okay. Back in 2024, Ms. Lobo, you said that during an ESPN broadcast of the NCAA women's basketball tournament, you said, and I quote, "By the way, good luck finding something to do in Albany." Close quote. And then you kind of walked that back. You walked that back by tweeting, and I quote, "I've spent many fun-filled weekends in the Albany area over the years coaching my kids' AAU teams. No shade intended towards the capital city and the outstanding job they did to hosting the regional." Close quote. Backtracking a little bit. That's okay. That's what media types do. Ourselves included on the show. But you also have been talking, I don't say we're talking about, but okay. So anyway, came back to Albany for their Albany regional. Did a wonderful job, of course, with ESPN, doing your thing. But I have an appeal to you. It would be the funniest thing if you were to get a group of investors together, pony in some money, buy the Connecticut Sun, and move them to Albany to play at the MVP Arena. You can do it. Connecticut's full of rich people.
Yeah.
All right. I mean, we relocated a team. We've already done it in relocating a team from Connecticut to Albany. They were the New England Black Wolves. Now they're the Albany Firewolves. Oliver Marty, hello, get on the phone with Rebecca Lobo. Help her get a group of investors together, because the WNBA could work in Albany, I think.
Oh, for sure.
Because we don't have, look, Albany, we have a major inferiority complex. And Dustin, I'm pretty sure you can attest to this too. Because we're surrounded by so many other cities. New York is to the south of us. Boston is to the east of us. Buffalo's to the west of us. And to an extent, Toronto. Yeah. Montreal's to the north of us. Philadelphia's to the south of us too. We're stuck in between 6 other major metropolitan cities. And we have this amazingly terrible inferiority complex. You can help relieve that inferiority complex by bringing a WNBA team to Albany. You've already got fans who can pack the MVP arena. It's been proven. We've done it before. We've done it with when the NCAA has come to town, both the men's and the women's regional that we had in 2024. When we just happened to get Caitlin Clark in Iowa, and the biggest luck in the world to have them as part of that bracket, to have LSU, who with at that time Angel Reese on the team, they were in the same bracket. They were in the Elite 8, and they faced each other in the Elite 8 to go to the Final Four, and it happened in Albany. And it was an incredible weekend of that regional for the Sweet 16 and the Elite 8. You saw it. We packed the house when it comes to basketball. This area is basketball crazy. And we have been begging, pleading the state of New York, the city of Albany, to bring a kind of a major franchise to us. And Jimmy Dolan, we'll talk about the Rangers another time. But I think Rebecca Lobo, Ms. Lobo, and you can call this team the Lobos too, the Albany Lobos. Well, because we've already got the Firewolves. Let's go with the Albany Lobos.
That'd be sweet.
I'm making an appeal to you, Ms. Lobo. Get some investors, get some money together, buy that team, bring them up to Albany. We'll support the team. I'm not even a women's basketball fan myself.
Oh, I'd be going out. I'd be coming to the. I'd be going though.
We would be courtside. We would be courtside seats for the Albany Lobos on the first game they play at MVP Arena. Yeah. We'll guarantee it. We'll make it happen. We'll be there. We'll be there rooting you girls on.
Using SeatGeek.
Using of course using SeatGeek promo code Belly Up Sports at checkout. But we will support this team. So I'm making the appeal to you.
And also too, if the team must be relocated, Connecticut's not that far from Albany. The Sun fans could come in and watch the game too. So because
absolutely.
It would be I do feel bad for Connecticut. They love basketball out there. They have the Huskies. They've supported the Sun. To relocate, if it must be relocated, Connecticut fans can still make it in. They can still make it into Albany.
I mean, there are still some New England Black Wolves fans who come up to the MVP Arena during the season for Albany Firewolves, and they wear their Black Wolves jersey, and they still support the club because some of those club members were part until they moved, so they know the players. Some of the players who stick around. Yeah, let's make it happen. Come on, Mrs. Lobo, you can do it.
Let's do this thing.
We believe in you. Aroo!
Oh man!
All right, we're gonna move on to our last segment of the night. Our favorite athletes to wear the number 34. And appropriately enough, I texted Dustin yesterday. I said, "Your favorite number 34? Mine's baseball related." He says, "Mine too." Uh-oh.
Yeah.
But I'll let Dustin reveal his. So go ahead, Dustin. Who your favorite athlete to wear the number 34?
Okay, and as with everything, I'm always afraid that I'm going to miss somebody, and invariably I am. But I just came with the first person that came to mind, and it's Nolan Ryan himself. I mean, come on. One of the greatest pitchers of all time, and he pitched in a different era. He would pitch until his arm fell off if he needed a game. You weren't going to the bullpen on Nolan Ryan, and he pitched forever too, which is the reason that I saw him play, because the longevity in an era where unfortunately players are going down with Tommy John repeatedly and arm troubles and things are happening because. Is it an issue of people throwing too hard in high school? Nolan Ryan is from a different era. It was unbelievable to watch him pitch. He was the first pitcher that I remember that really intimidated people on the mound, that really brushed people back. He wasn't afraid of anybody. Pitchers after him, of course, I remember. Randy Johnson intimidating because of his size. Roger Clemens, he tried to intimidate and brush people back. But it was all similar to Nolan Ryan, just a true power pitcher. And also, who doesn't remember when I believe it was Robin Ventura charged the mound and Nolan Ryan gave him a piece of something, and he will still and credit to Robin Ventura. I've heard that people present him that card to sign all the time. He always signs it and he chuckles about it, but Nolan Ryan was not to be trifled with. And the thing is, he had the stuff to back it up, and just a real, in my book, the greatest pitcher I ever saw pitch. And I've seen a lot of pitchers, but he was a throwback, and I miss that to some degree. Like, the era of the 300 game winner is done, Ryan, because of the way that with pitch counts and things that happen, it will never happen again. And I'm sad about it because I liked pitchers going in and pitching complete games. And I continue to bring up the example of, it's why I love CC Sabathia, not for his time as a New York Yankee, but mostly for his time as a trade in Milwaukee. He knew he wasn't, but he pitched on 3 days rest. That's a Nolan Ryan move. That's something that Nolan Ryan, you could give the ball to Nolan Ryan for any big game, and he's just a filthy, filthy pitcher. And the longevity is something, it just impresses me. Nolan Ryan, all the way around, very impressive. And he's somebody that I'll remember and say that I was lucky to have seen him play, even if it was only on TV.
You know that joke about Robin Ventura during that fight?
What's the joke about that?
He's the only batter to get 6 hits off Nolan Ryan in 1 inning.
Oh, man. That's a good one. That's a good one.
My favorite number 34 was also a baseball player, but again, I had to check with Dustin to make sure.
Yeah, we were afraid.
Was copacetic. Mine is Kirby Puckett.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I knew when you said, was he a lifelong Minnesota Twin? I said, he's going Puckett. He's going Puckett.
Lifelong Minnesota Twin. And one of my favorite players, period. I dreamed of him being a New York Yankee at one point. But good for him. He spent all 12 of his Major League Baseball season as a member of the Minnesota Twins. And the littlest guy, he would always be the smallest guy on the field. He's only 5'8", 5'7", 5. He's listed at 5'8", but I think he's closer to 5'7", 5'6", from what I understand. But man, he had a bat. He was a great hitter. Lifetime 318 hitter, 207 home runs, over part of the 2000 hit club, 2,304 hits. Had 134 stolen bases, part of the 1,000 RBI club, 1,085 RBIs. Was also a League Series MVP, won the All-Star MVP, has a batting title, 6-time Silver Slugger, 6-time Gold Glover. Not only known for his bat, but also renowned for his glove. Yes. Great outfielder, great center fielder for the Minnesota Twins. I remember seeing him making that catch I think it was during the 91 World Series where at the time, the Metrodome and the outfield, and especially in center field and left field, because in right field they had that wall because it was converted into the football, and when the Minnesota Vikings playing, it got converted into a football field. But they had the wall in left and center field, but they put like hockey glass over it. Oh. And I remember I can't remember which batter it was. It might have been David Justice. It might have been Marquise Grissom. It was somebody from the Braves. Hit it to deep left center field. And I remember Kirby Puckett climbing that wall and going on the glass and basically coming up onto the glass, making a leap and making a catch, and it saved an extra base hit. That's a tremendous play. And also, can't forget that iconic home run in Game 6 to break the tie, to send it to a Game 7, that iconic call from Jack Buck on CBS Sports television, where he says, "We'll see you tomorrow night." That was from the home run by Kirby Puckett to force a Game 7, that legendary Game 7 where Jack Morris pitched. He was like 88 at the time, Jack Morris. 88-year-old Jack Morris pitching a complete game, World Series Game 7 shutout. But Kirby Puckett was the guy who he made the Twins relevant in the 1980s and early 90s. Yeah, he was one of those guys who he made that team relevant, and it was just so sad when he passed away. He's been gone for almost 20 years now. You realize that?
No, I did not realize that.
But he was also, and don't forget, he was also forced to retire in 1996 because he lost vision.
Yes,
in his one eye due to central retinal vein occlusion. So he could have played longer, but he retired early, which is so sad.
Mm-hmm.
And then losing him, and then him dying at 45 due to a stroke in 2006. It's been dead almost 20 years, which is even sadder. Yeah. We lost him in the game of baseball because he lost vision in his right eye, and then he dies almost 10 years later. Well, actually over 10 years later, because of a stroke. And it was just, oh man, he just lost him so soon. And he was one of my favorite players not to wear a Yankee uniform.
Yeah.
And I kind of envisioned him in later his career wearing a Yankees uniform.
And and honestly, I think it could have been a good shot at that. George, those Steinbrenner Yankees of that era, he always loved going after players later in their careers. It was one of the things that he did. And Kirby Puckett, I always knew he was a great hitter, but what I remember most, I'm glad you mentioned his defense, Ryan, because defensively he was doing things. People remember Andrew Jones and Torrey Hunter and all those great center fielders of the late 90s, early 2000s. Kirby Puckett was the predecessor. Kirby Puckett was, and Torrey Hunter, especially if memory serves, because he was on the Twins. He said, no doubt, modeled this game after Kirby Puckett. Kirby Puckett's a role model. Just, man, you miss players like this. Kirby Puckett, Tony Gwynn, gone way too soon. Both of them. This has been a very baseball-centric episode. I've enjoyed it, and it's been nostalgic too. It's been nostalgic.
Yeah. A couple more comments before we go. You said like New York Cubans, you envision a cigar as the logo. Stainless Smooth asking, can it be a Cuban sandwich?
I sanction this. I love a good Cuban sandwich. And Mr. Smooth, one of these times, if you're ever up this way, we'll throw some pork on the smoker. We'll make a Cuban sandwich.
There you go. D's Ray Sunshine saying she's also down for New York Cubans merch. I'm pretty sure you can find it somewhere. You can find it anywhere, pretty much.
Yeah, I'll find it.
You might even be able to find it in Cooperstown. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
She says she's also rooting for the Sun to move to Albany. Do we need to start a petition? And she also asks. She also says it's a sensible move. Yeah. Emotional appeal. Come on, Rebecca Lobo, please. And then last comment of the night, D's Ray Sunshine saying most people remember Derrick Henry wearing number 2 for Alabama, but he actually wore number 34 for most of his career. No, good to know.
I love it. I see what you're doing with the Alabama love. Keep doing it. because it's one of my favorite reoccurring bits on the show.
I got that Bama in me.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to get out of here. Before we do that, I just want to remind good people watching and listening to follow us on social media: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube. Just search for No Credentials Required. Give us a follow on there. And also find our other podcasts and written articles at bellyupsports.com. On the podcast site, subscribe to the podcast wherever you listen to podcasts, including Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Spreaker, Amazon Music, iHeart, TuneIn, and Pandora. And also, don't forget to hit that notification bell. Get yourself notified on Twitter and on YouTube. That way you know when live shows go up. When we're live, oh my gosh, boring Dustin. That way you know when episode. That way you know
I didn't
when live.
think it was going to come back that quick. I tried to sneak it in.
I thought that was tag along mailing outside my door for a second. I'm like, oh, it's Dustin. He's yawning. Anyway, hit that notification bell on Twitter and on YouTube. That way you know when live shows go up. That way you know when show announcements go up and when show clips go up. You're properly notified. And also don't forget, happy hour, Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern. Grab a beverage, join us. We'll be talking sport, all sorts of sports. And also want to give a shout out to our podcasting audience. I've been keeping track of our numbers. Last year, we set a goal. No, it wasn't so much a goal, but it was just it was a number I was hoping for. Like when we're starting to really build our audience of 2,500, we got to 2,570. This weekend, we surpassed that number.
Yes.
May 11th. I'm sorry, May 10th. May 11th. We surpassed that number. So within 5 and 3/8 months in 2025, we have surpassed our podcast numbers for the year for downloads. So thank you to our audience on there, the podcast world.
Yes.
Again, follow us on social media. Again, please follow us on social media. We love to have you join in for the live audience, but also keep listening on the podcast side too, because we appreciate you listening, taking the time to listen to our nonsense. For however long we go for, whether it be an hour, now going on an hour and a half here, but we appreciate you and keep on listening. Tell people, tell a friend, tell an enemy that we exist out here, and we want to keep our momentum going for 2025.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought this up because I've been wanting to say thank you to everybody who's downloaded, listened, watched live. We've had a very lively comment section the last few shows. It really helps run the show. Thank you for taking time out. We know how precious everyone's time is these days, and we love doing this. Ryan and I would talk to each other into a black void. We do this show, but the thing is, we do it for you. We do it because we love doing it, and we love that there are people out there that are listening to us. We appreciate you.
And last comment on the show before we get out of here, a friend of the show, Victor Locke, or as we like to call him, he says, "Good evening, gentlemen, Mr. Dustin and the supervillain himself, Espresso McCarthy." That's right. You'll never catch me, Inspector Vicola. I guess that'll do it then.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining us on No Credentials Required, where you don't need a press pass to talk sports. Again, we are proudly presented by Belly Up Sports. Don't forget, Friday show instead of a Friday night happy hour instead of a Saturday morning brunch this week. We'll come back to the Saturday brunch the following Sunday or Saturday at 10 a.m. Eastern.
Yes.
But for Dustin Henry, I'm Ryan McCarthy. We'll be back here Friday night for happy hour. Grab a beverage, whether it be a cocktail or a mocktail. We'd love to have you talk some sports with us and jump in the comment section, and we'll talk to you on Friday. Have a great week.
Good night, everybody.